Hi, and welcome to another episode of Powerhouse Conversations. It's your host, Fred Underwood from Dream Big Sports. This podcast brings on athletes and sports brands to have powerful discussions around the sports industry. Today, we have a special guest who's built a lot of different brands, Xavier Jackson with Coinlete. We're bringing him on to have a conversation about how athletes can connect with brands. So, Xavier, how you doing today? What you got going on?
Oh man, first off, appreciate you, for having me on. And like I said, day in, day out, at Coinlete, we just basically are the bridge between helping athletes perfectly align with the right companies and essentially giving companies insight and consulting on how to properly, engage with athletes for more successful campaigns and more, hopefully headlines in the news about, how successful projects that companies that's been created through athletes. So that's kind of like, our focus and was the basis behind us creating this platform and, what we're doing.
So, give us a little bit more about your background and how you got to this point.
Yeah. So, my background essentially, I play basketball at Virginia Commonwealth University. Um, through me being through me getting to that level, I went through each level. From sports, from going to prep school to JUCO. So I kind of was like a late bloomer in that route. And throughout that time, while I was going through it, I didn't really understand it, but it makes way more sense now. What I'm doing now, the why God put me through that journey. But obviously, as soon as I got done playing sports, we all as athletes, no matter what, whether you retire as a professional or whether you stop playing in college, it comes a day where you have to go to your next career. And
Mm-hmm.
when my basketball career stopped at after college, I kind of had a decision to continue to pursue and try to go the professional route. But then it was just an easy transition for me to get into business. It was something that I was already kind of like good at.
All
It
right.
was things. It was something I never really had the time to fully pursue. Obviously,
All right.
because I was just continuously leveling up each year when it comes to basketball. And at that moment, it was just the first time where I ever had to think in my life, like, what should I do, besides the sport? And from that point, I opened up my own auto detailing business probably like 4 months out of me being out of school. And from there it just took off. Like, and then I got my first opportunity to work with professional player, play for the Jazz. My closest friend, he gave me the opportunity to just be around and learn Royce O'Neal. And from being around him and just seeing the ins and outs of the game and being around professional athletes day in and day out and realizing, like, some of these athletes that we see day to day that are stars in our eyes, they don't have no ownership in no companies. Or, you think that they have a lot of endorsement deals or a lot of companies that's wanting to work with them. In reality, they don't.
All right.
So when I seen that, I seen like a huge void that I can kind of, fill. And I did not want to be like an agent and didn't want to be like a business manager. I wanted to essentially be like the in between of that and being like a facilitator to being able to help agents get more deals for their athletes or helping athletes if they're independent to get more deals amongst themselves. So that's basically what our SaaS platform essentially solve in a solution through
Yeah.
technology, perfectly integrate athletes and brands and making sure that they work together seamlessly.
Yep. I definitely want to go to the SaaS platform, and we'll get to that. But I want to go back to the journey, right? So I played the JUCO route, so I know definitely how that grind is. So tell me about how what that instilled in you from a work ethic standpoint and I guess a believing in yourself standpoint.
Yeah. So you know, the biggest thing in life is just never quit. Um, and stay persistent in whatever you have and really your mental makeup, how you organize your thoughts and the belief system that you have within your mind that allows you to push yourself forward and go for it. So when it comes down to that, I'd never really seen a level where I was at. I was never at JUCO. I was just
Yeah.
basically on a journey to perfecting my craft, knowing
Right.
that if I continue to just become better and perform at each level, no matter whatever my opportunity is, that would be just enough for me to get to the next opportunity
Right.
and the next opportunity for me to continue to go forward. So I always had a long term goal, but I always knew the short term steps to get to a long term goal.
No. I,
So that was just another place for me to add another chip on my shoulder and kind of just was like, I'm gonna eat this. Like, I'm not supposed to be at this level, so even though I believe that, let my results speak for that, you know. And
Right.
if I do what I'm supposed to do, then in one short year I'll be at that next location that I need to be at. So that was kind of like how I came out of it. And
Right.
from that point, going forward in my life and seeing how, you know, that's kind of like how I took everything else with these businesses I'm opening or the products I'm opening. I realized like this persistence, I'm not gonna quit, long-term vision, but I do the day-to-day steps that you need to do to, you know, get to that destination. So that's basically what I learned. It's just like a journey in sports. You play sports from you like five, wherever you start, and then you got to go through middle school, you got to go through high school, you got to go through college, depending on to get to the league. So it's like all that upfront time that you got to put in before you even eligible to even start benefiting and
Yeah.
monetizing off of the sport. Now, obviously, with these new rules and all this stuff, you know, athletes can monetize way earlier. But at that time, you still having to, you know, put that journey in and for you to
Right.
get to the bucks. So like nothing in life, I don't think everything that's like a universal law. Nature grow naturally, people grow naturally. You can't
Right.
hurry up and wake up and be grown adult. You have to go through that process. So
Right.
kind of seeing that, you know, that natural flow within myself
Yeah.
and then realize that like that's the way to go about it.
No, I like that, especially the way you preference it as opportunity, the next opportunity versus being at a level, right? Everybody,
Yeah,
you can't look at it as a level. It's just the opportunity that you have in front of you, and how you're going to attack it and how you're going to master it. So I like that.
exactly.
Yep. So, with that being said, when you kept going through these different levels, and when you kept, when you kept going through these different opportunities, and when you kept seeking these opportunities, what led you to this place that you're at now?
Yeah, so that's another thing too. Like they say, you know, walk by faith, not by sight, and God kind of order your steps.
Mm-hmm.
So biggest thing for me was, you know, I asked to gain clarity within myself and within my
Mm-hmm.
life, and for me to, you know, I had a strict focus on really finding
Mm-hmm.
that next thing that lit me up like a sports did,
Yep.
and from that aspect of it, and obviously when you're creating a business, you know, it's cool to have a good idea, but the most successful businesses are created from problems that people solve.
Yep.
So I had one person that told me that, mentor, and he said, you know, you're going to be as successful as the problem you're solving.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it was when I, and then he said, if you able to incorporate a problem that you solve with your passion, then you hit the jackpot. So for me, I was thinking about, you know, the problems that's around my passions. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously for me, immediately getting into sports and then seeing a lot of my other peers graduate and then, you know, was working jobs that I probably would have never wanted to work in, was being in situations where they was confused and did not necessarily know they and depressed, and you know they never really could get back that to that place where they felt like important, like they
Yeah.
had that sports.
Yeah.
So for me, when I noticed that, it was just like that was a big problem. Then I went on Google and I was looking up like what platforms help athletes transition to the next level. Couldn't find none.
Right.
Um, you know, I looked at it like what platforms help, you know, athletes and brands connect online without them having to have an agent and all these middlemen that's trying to, like, you know, get percentages and, you know,
Yeah.
putting their hands in the pot. Or why we keep having these stories of
Right.
athletes losing money
Right.
and going broke when, you know, they got access to the whole world. So from there, boom, problem solved, passion. Then at
Yep.
that moment, it was just about God putting the right individuals in my life and building that team, because that's the next phase. Once you get it, now you got to get the right pieces to make it go to work. Just like, you know, basketball, building a team. So instead of me being a player, I was playing GM this time. You know, being
Yep.
coach, and basically organizing the right pieces. And when you got business, it's just like sport. You have everybody play. You got to have a marketing team, your sales team, your, you know, advisors. You know, your whole nine. So once I started to see like the correlation between like sports, and I was seeing it in business, and then I seen the problem I was solving, then at that moment, it was like, okay, let's go. I seen it. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
And got
Gotcha.
it up.
No, that's definitely important. So what are the key components of building a team or a roster for these athletes? What would you suggest?
Um, the biggest things is, you know, first off, align interest and vision.
Hmm.
Everybody got to have aligned interest and vision. Like, you know, you play sports. If you have one person on the team trying to go get 30 and one person trying to win and one person trying to do this, like the result of that game, you're not going to win that game, you know?
Right.
So basically, number one, you got to have aligned interest, and everybody got to be on the same goal. Then after that, you just got to have, you're gonna have trial and error. Obviously, every lineup don't work. You got to find the right chemistry amongst the right people that make things flow. So it's going to be trial and error. But once again, if you just be persistent and understanding that, and high level transparency, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
being
Agree.
transparent. When I was basically, meeting people at the beginning, I was trying to like convince them to why, rather than just letting them know this is the opportunity, this is what we're doing. Do you find passion, or do you see that? What's your value to being able to help this go forward? So
Yeah.
being very transparent with everybody and just always being honest, communication at the highest level. And that's the biggest thing, communicating. So good communication and me communicating transparency to individuals, and then me being persistent and understanding that some gonna come, some gonna go.
Right.
It allowed me to, find the right team. And then when you find it, and hurry up and fail too, and hurry up and get around people
Yep.
that may not work. Because when you find it, it's gonna be clear, because you're gonna
Yep.
see 90% from what didn't work and what it is working. So like
Yep.
that's what I suggest anybody do if they doing that.
No, I think you brought up a really good point. I literally just tweeted about this, a little bit ago. It's about like people being afraid to fail. Like, and you said, hurry up and fail. Like, you have to lean in on failing, because failing is how you're going to learn. Like, especially in business, like if you don't go out and fail, then you're not going to be successful.
At all. It's 0%. So you're right.
Yep. So how does, we talked about the SaaS platform. Let's dive in a little bit deeper on that. How does your SaaS platform innovate for these athletes?
Um, I basically created a platform to empower athletes to essentially act and operate as their own agent, aside from them actually using the agent to find them a job, from what team they're going to potentially play for, where
Hmm.
they're going to be employed at. So from the aspect of an athlete wanting to find bigger opportunities for them to monetize their brand and name, away from the court, for them to gain education and, learn things about the business world, about different industries, about themselves, and how to properly take steps for them to grow, and for them to essentially make it efficient as well, because obviously athletes have so many different people that got to be there when it comes to the execution of any type of deal. So from being able to make that relationship, and for them to actually even find those relationships, and for them to educate themselves, for them to better prepare themselves, basically that platform is the innovation behind that. So whether it be a brand, most problems with brands is they don't have ends. I reached out today. A company came to me and said, do you think that this player may be interested in working with us through our campaign? If they found or had a way for them just to ask that athlete themselves, they would never even need me for them to try to be the barrier. And that's basically how the sports world operates. It's always somebody that's being a barrier. But the biggest thing is we, you know, put our faith and trust into individuals, and sometimes I don't always pan out right.
Yeah.
So with me, the technology is going to serve as a transparency between the athlete and between the brands and between whoever is the person that's facilitating them, and bringing everything up into the forefront. So when that athlete want to go, no, now they gonna know what their deal is. When the money go through, they know how that splits. When they want to communicate, everybody and all parties are there. The athlete got to sign off on it. They all get on the FaceTime call. So just from an efficiency standpoint, from an availability standpoint, and from education standpoint, we basically innovate in the way our athletes operate and interact with brands.
Gotcha. Now, are you all facilitating the actual the financial aspect of the transaction as well, or is it just they meet and the transaction goes through there?
Yeah, so obviously the brands pay to be on our platform.
Hmm.
Subscription. Once the brands get onto the platform, the athletes and them can engage in whatever deals that they partake in. Obviously, that's being done through the platform. It's up free reign for them.
Okay.
So that's kind of essentially how it all works.
Gotcha. Okay. So the connection is made, and you're connecting the dots. So I like that. I like
Yes.
that. What
My,
do you go ahead?
I was about to say, I just spend my time more so just loading it up with just athletes and brands, and then now they have that space for them to basically execute deals amongst themselves.
Gotcha. That makes sense. So what do you is there like a ideal way for that you suggest that athletes position themselves to get the best deal?
For sure. So obviously, when you an athlete, you an influential figure, or I mean, you're a public figure in your community. And your influence, you know, from majority of local companies, sports is a community activity. So being on that team and being in the environments where you're able to target a lot of those local companies that really needs that more exposure and is spending money on marketing anyway for them to try to get in front of the right demographic. And being an athlete, you kind of go to your Instagram, and it's the easiest way for people to gauge what type of people is towards them. You go on the gram, you go to insights, you can see what age range that athletes really tap into the most. You can see what cities are these people are coming from, because most of the times they have the huge influence on whatever community they
Hmm.
may be in. So, being an athlete and then knowing that aspect of it, I'll be banging down on every local company that's in alignment within myself. So if you're in a college athlete, anything that you need when it comes down to your life to make life easier for you at college, I will go find any of these privately owned companies, whether it may be barbers or whether it
Hmm.
may be tire places, your tire or
Yep.
car, however it may be. And I will make good relationships with them and let them know the power of what you would be able to bring to them through your social influence, and then executing those deals. Once you're able to get a lot of those and you get that momentum and you getting more notoriety and you cross-referencing both parties and taking some of their fan base and bringing on yours, then you're building up that leverage for you to go and tap into some of these national brands. Once your platform become more national and you elevate yourself to that level. So for me, basically, any athlete, I'll just tell them to, find the companies that align with their bigger vision. First, create a vision amongst themselves.
Right.
First, create an interest amongst themselves. First, understand the needs that they need. And, and once you do all that, then basically build, from there. And then, hit the ground running, and then, try to get some of these deals in your pipeline. So then as you get to get more in and you get to see the results that you actually bring these companies, it is
Hmm.
better to help you leverage other deals and letting them
Right.
know, hey, this is what I want, because no matter what, each company that worked with me went from here to there and went from here to here, and this is what I can do. So this is what I need for us to work together, and then this is the results that you're going to get. So in
Right.
order to be able to have that conversation, you have to start somewhere, and I say that that's the best place where I'll tell them to start.
Yeah, no, I think that's big because everybody's looking for these, huge deals. Like, go ahead and prove yourself with the small ones and knock that out the park. And like you just said, you gain your leverage by showing, what you can do, and then showing the analytics behind what you have done. And I mean,
Exactly.
everything is a results based, business. And you have to be able to show what you can do, and then you can leverage that to monetize what you're doing with your brand.
Exactly.
Yep. So one of the things I did want to talk to you about was products. I mean, you've been able to create products and being able to use that as leverage for yourself. So talk to us about some of the products that you created.
Yeah. So uh, we created we have a sports drink called Refresh Plus. We have a healing CBD cream called Lessor, and we have like these energy shots uh, that's called More Lit. And honestly, from working in this space and from always constantly talking to brands, and obviously connecting athletes to the brands, it was low key inevitable that once I found the right product and once I found the right company and the right vision, that we was going to get into that space because it just made sense. But the thing that really made us align with brands, and it's another thing that people can really take for themselves, is finding the value. So we found a couple products that was very good. However, their marketing and branding was not appealing to reaching the audience of the demographic of what we were essentially offering. So you can find opportunities with companies from adding in value that will make them become better. So the products that we was able to create, we basically partnered up with existing brands, rebranded it, and made it more appealing to the athlete community. And then at that moment, obviously use our formula of, bringing in the athlete and making sure that, the deal go right. So from us in these products, Refresh, you know, all of these products coincide and with my life that I've been living, and I understand most of these products. I use most of these products and other brands for the longest. So it easily allowed me to be able to realize how good the product was, and
Okay.
um, it made me realize how good the product was. And once I seen how good the product was, and I felt the passion and I understood the space, obviously because I've been in it, and because of the athletes, it just made me double down on it. So I'm definitely, like I said, very excited about our sports drink and about the cream, and it's been doing well. We got a bunch of partnerships coming up with a lot of different athletes, and you'll be able to find these products in your local gas stations and and grocery stores. So it's exciting.
Yep. So, what are some of the things that you look for in a brand when like you said, you came in and you kind of found establishing brands, but what were some of the key things that you looked for when you were doing it?
Uh, it's this 7 feet rule, I believe, where from 7 feet you're supposed to be able to look at something from a label and be appealed to pick it up or want to try it. So first thing is it appealing? Is it something that is going to catch your eye and something that people will want to try just based off of what it looked like?
Yeah.
Then more importantly than that, is the quality good? Is the quality of it good? Does it
Yep.
actually work? Is the company even good? Like, I don't want the athlete to associate his brand with a company and that's going to go down, or that don't deliver what they said they're going to deliver. So making sure that the product is actually is what fits, and then from the looks and from actually being a good product, open mind and and create in a creative mindset from the brand, for them to not just be basic and only seek money, but for them to really align and
All
want to
right.
put effort behind making it actually work with the athlete. So when you add those things up, that's kind of like what I look like for brands. Those three
Yep.
things.
No, that's definitely key, especially with the alignment piece. You definitely want to make sure if you're a brand, especially for these NIL athletes that are out there, making sure that you're not just taking it for a bag. You're actually aligning your values and whatever you're going to be doing with your brand, because that's gonna last longer, right? Because you have to build your personal brand up. So if you're attached to a brand that kind of failed, or has some bad news that comes out, like, you don't want to be known for that. So that's definitely something to make sure that you're mindful of.
Exactly.
So what are some of the things that you would say that an athlete needs to do to prepare for life after sports? Like, if while they're playing, what are some of the things that they can be doing while they're playing?
Um, you know, the biggest thing is building a network. Um, Obviously everybody heard this saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Hmm.
So when you in school, most of them kids that you in school with going to grow to be the next leaders or workers of the country. And being able to go make relationships with people that's in fields that tend leads to more success. Being able to use and leverage the boosters of your university or your community, and people that's already successful, that's just fans, and building relationships with them. um, Taking a lot of internships and just basically leveraging the fact that when you're an athlete, you have access to anything that you want.
Yep.
So by having that access, just aligning yourself with individuals that have things that you want in your life.
Right.
So if you're somebody that's successful within morals, and they got a successful business, and you feel like you can get a relationship with them, learn. And
Yep.
the earlier you learn, the better you able to figure out ways, even if you're still playing, to incorporate yourself. And the more money you get, now that you understand or you passionate about that, and you have that advisor that's been successful, that's already walked that path, that can tell you what not to do, what the right things to do, and for you to leverage your platform. What they tend, nine times out of 10, most people that own businesses, they don't have no platform like an athlete. They just can't got it out the mud.
Right.
So had the platform and the capital, that they had to build a capital or raise the capital. If you got out the mud, and if you have the platform and you have the capital, then at that moment, only thing that you was missing is the guidance.
Yeah.
So like that's basically why I let people know that, like, just build good solid relationships, because when they get to that point, that's what's gonna get you to the next level. my relationships got me to the next level. My friend being able to be a professional athlete put me in bigger rooms with more successful, well-rounded individuals. Me building relationships with them put me in more rooms that, and then I just kept piling on. So now I look up and then now I have all these different things going on for myself. And it was all off of my network. It was
Yep.
not, I didn't go to school for none of this stuff. I
Yep.
didn't, I didn't learn. I didn't take no class or courses or anything of that nature. It was just all off of me knowing somebody, they liking me, wanting to take the time to actually teach me and let me learn, me being willing and a fast learner and taking advantage of my opportunities and going from there. So build a network. That's basically what I tell an athlete, build a
No,
network.
I think that's key because a lot of times the athletes will play, they meet the owners or the boosters or whatever, and they think nothing of it. They don't continue the relationship, and to your point, like those relationships can lead to a lot of other things. Especially, you don't wait until after you're finished playing to oh, I want to call this. Oh yeah, you were the owner or you were the booster of this team, and now I'm calling you 5, 10 years later. Like, it's too late now. Like, build a relationship then, even if you're not ready for it now, even if you don't know what you want to do, just build a relationship, and that's going to be the key.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so I know one of the things that I would add to that is, and you mentioned this earlier, is build a relationship, but also build a community while you're playing, right? You have it's a difference between having fans and having a community. Like,
Exactly.
you can build those fans into a community, and then you take that community that you've built while you were playing, and then transition that over to your business, and now you have customers, right? So talk to me a little bit about building a community.
It just starts with being transparent and genuine and adding value. Like anybody want to be a part of nothing that's like salesy or people that's trying to like get over on them or
Yeah.
if they got a question. So when you be transparent and you just add value, then obviously people gonna want to attract to that towards that. They you giving them game and they feeling like they learning. Right now you um go to ESPN when you want to go learn about everything that's going on when it comes down to sports. So the value that they add is having insight on all of the exclusive news when it comes to sport. So they built a community of individuals that watch that religiously.
Yeah.
Any person that was a leader in the world that had individuals follow them, basically they provided value. And they were so good at providing that value that more and more and more people wanted to learn from them, and more people wanted to be associated with them, and more people wanted to help them and bring them forward and to bring support and love. So from that, what I learned from me building my community is just that obviously the value that I add, my only objective is for me to find better ways for me to add more and do it in a better way. And the more value that I add, the more individuals is going to follow. And then when you do have that community, making sure that you're leading them in the right direction. And that just comes from like I said, being transparent with them and letting them know like this is what I'm here for, this is what I'm here to do. This is where what you could find from coming here. If this is what fits you, then let's go. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And that's kind of like the biggest thing that I tell somebody to do when it comes to building that community.
Yep. No, so that's great. But I know we're getting towards the end of our time. But I do have a couple of questions to end it off. One of them is who is your biggest influence in business and why?
Um, Master P,
Okay, I like that one.
Master P, 100%. He kind of taking a similar route as me. Ex athlete, transition immediately to entertainment. He owned this a record business, not like a record label, but a record business at that time where you could go buy and sell CDs.
Hmm.
From him being able to the hustle that he learned from selling the CDs, like damn, I'm selling out everybody else stuff. I could do it myself, to be honest.
Right.
Then able to do that, and from there, acquiring success, teaching others how to be successful. His son, big time, went Romeo, so he was able to transfer that platform and his formula of success. Snoop
Right.
Dogg, Death Row went with him. He was able to take these individuals and teach them. At the time, he had one
Right.
of the best deals in the music industry at his peak. And then he was able to diversify that and go to different things from movies and products. Now,
Hmm.
at the later after his life, he's doing a lot of products, a lot of grocery stores. So he's like one of the few individuals that was able to live a lot of lives and
Yeah.
do a lot of different
Yeah.
things, but still be successful.
Yeah.
He's able to be in music, be a professional athlete, own products. So like, it's very
Yeah.
few individuals in the world. And when it comes to me, people always say I'm doing too much. You know, I got an app, I got these products, I got these brands, but I look at people like Master P, who did, my stuff kind of aligns within the same vertical when you look
Yeah.
at me, because I'm doing the app and I'm, helping brands with athletes. So I got brands, but at the end of the day, it's not like I'm really going outside myself.
Right.
And he able to do a lot and still be successful. And then the second one is it'll be Robert Smith, and
Okay.
he's the richest black dude in American history right now. And he just kind of showed the example of what you can, achieve, and how to, be a person of culture, and how to operate and achieve success at that magnitude. So between those two guys, that's kind of like my business influences.
No, I like that. I like that. And so we'll close out with give us your end take on how does your business change the end users' lives, and then you can wrap it up and tell us where the people can find you.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So the like I said, if you're a brand, the technology is going to solve your issues if you was interested in working with athletes, and not only working with them, but having a return on your investment and building a profitable relationship that will lead you to more success and more notoriety for whatever your company may be. If you're an athlete and you wanting to have the tools and resources that you need to better yourself, better your brand, better your life for when you're done playing and while you're playing, and being able to connect with companies that have like interests, and at that moment, that platform essentially uh, allow them to achieve those two goals. And obviously, like I said, my Instagram is XO Abundance. You'll be able to find me there. You go on my bio, you'll be able to see all of the cool brands and companies and things that we have going on. Coinlete, see a coin, then Leet, go in there, you can go look that up. And yeah, so that's kind of where you can find us at. LinkedIn, my name is Xavier Jackson. So yeah, it's just anybody that want to get into that, or any athletes or businesses I want to learn and to go more, that's where you can find me.
All right, man. Thanks. I appreciate you coming on. I really enjoyed the conversation around how we can, help the athletes transition from out of just being an athlete to building brands, and not just, a lot of them think about they have to get a job afterwards, but you're actually connecting them with brands, connecting them with opportunity, and connecting them with ownership. So I think that's great. So thanks for another episode of Powerhouse Conversations. I'll see you all next week.